A survey by the Philippines military shows China has expanded its reclamation projects in the South China Sea. The disputed waters lie at the maritime heart of Southeast Asia. NHK World's Charmaine Deogracias reports from Manila.
Neighboring countries are increasingly alarmed over China's movements. NHK has obtained these reconnaissance photographs taken over the Spratly Islands in January and February by the Philippine military. Military officials say the photos show land reclaimed by China at two new locations, on Mischief Reef and Subi Reef. China claims sovereignty over almost all of the South China Sea outlined in red. Other Southeast Asian nations claim parts of it too. The area is rich in natural resources, including oil and gas. The discovery of the two new sites comes after China launched 5 reclamation projects in the same area last year. Chinese workers have now reclaimed at least 1 square kilometer of the sea. At Fiery Cross Reef, long strips of shoal have been completely reclaimed. They were underwater in September. The Philippine military suspects China plans to use the new land to construct runways. The land measures 3 kilometers long and between 200 and 600 meters wide. A leading Philippine congressman has echoed public concerns that the Chinese projects are for military purposes.
As you can see now, China is rewriting the story. With these massive reclamation activities, they are virtually physically altering the features of these rocks into something more sustainable with a very wide land area.
China, however, says the work is legitimate.
No one should challenge what China does in its own backyard.
A U.S. official speaking to reporters on Monday called on China to exercise restraint.
China's land reclamation and construction activities are fueling greater anxiety within the region about China's intentions amid concerns they may militarize outposts on disputed land features in the South China Sea.
The South China Sea is now an Asian flashpoint. A key international shipping lane runs through it. The reclamation projects have become a matter of grave concern for neighboring countries and beyond. Charmaine Deogracias, NHK World, Manila.
And that wraps up our bulletin. I'm Tra Tirakasan in Bangkok.
Tra, thanks. Tanzanian police are investigating a highway collision.
The Philippine government and the nation's biggest Islamic rebel group signed a peace deal last year. Muslim rebels have fought an independence war for decades on Mindanao. The peace process is now at a critical point. Can both sides meet a June 2016 deadline for setting up a Muslim autonomous government? Well, Japan is deeply involved in bringing peace to the conflict-plagued island. NHK World's Charmaine Deogracias reports.
The peace deal with the More Islamic Liberation Front has not completely ended violence on Mindanao. Last month, a fierce firefight lasted here for about a week. The government forces and the MILF fighters together helped flush out a breakaway group that is opposed to the peace agreement. The battle in this rebel-controlled village cost nearly 50 lives. This shelter is home to 13,000 refugees from the violence.
We don't have water or food and have to sleep on the ground. We want the conflict to stop so we can return to our lives.
Al-Hajj Murad heads the Moro rebels. His signature is on the peace deal. We ask him for a progress report.
We are now facing another challenge in the roadmap to the peace process. We cannot afford to abandon the more than 17 years of engagement with the government.
Sadako Ogata has played a key role in Japan's efforts to help Mindanao. A veteran diplomat, Ogata also served as president of the Japan International Cooperation Agency. Ogata first visited Mindanao in 2006. In talks with Murad, she promised Japan would back the island's development while trying to bring peace.
If peace is achieved, local people can work and create a future by themselves.
In 2011, Philippine President Benigno Aquino and Murad held their first unofficial talks in Japan. The meeting, mediated by the Japanese government, was a turning point.
It built confidence between myself and the president. We choose Japan because at the time Japan was very involved in the peace process. I have very high regards with Madam Ogata. She has been engaged in process of peace and for humanitarian activities.
Even during years of conflict, Japan helped nurture industries in Mindanao. This fish farm, created with Japanese technology, is the first of its kind on the island.
Our economic was developed. They established their own fund.
This junior high school was destroyed 40 years ago in the conflict. Classes resumed outdoors last year. Starting this summer, students will move into a brand new school built with Japanese aid.
I'll study hard to be an English teacher.
I want people to feel that they share the benefits of peace by taking advantage of educational opportunities and living better lives. I hope we can ensure a lasting peace.
Many challenges lie ahead in Mindanao, but Japan is helping create a lasting peace. Charmaine Deo Gracias, NHK World, Mindanao.
That wraps up our bulletin. I'm Rio Raksa Wong in Bangkok.
Boxing fans around the world are getting ready for what's being called the fight of the century. Floyd Mayweather of the U.S. is an undefeated champion with 5 world titles under his belt. Manny Pacquiao of the Philippines has won 6. Pacquiao fought his way out of poverty to become a global star. Charmaine Deogracias has the story.
The two fighters spoke to more than 900 reporters to publicize their May 2nd match. The prize is said to be at least $200 million, a record gross for a boxing event. Pacquiao has a record 57 wins and 5 losses with 38 knockouts. The 36-year-old boxer is a hero in the Philippines.
I hope this fight is going to be not only to entertain people, but to give an inspiration to all the people around the world.
Pacquiao's home island of Mindanao is said to be one of the poorest parts of the country. Some people here are excited about the fight.
I want to cheer Pacquiao all the time. I can't do any work.
Pacquiao bought the gym where he used to train before his big fights. He made it free of charge for boys with similar backgrounds. Vince Paras is 16. He wanted to follow in Pacquiao's footsteps, so he took up boxing 4 years ago. Vince says he'll never forget something Pacquiao did for his family. He asked Pacquiao 8 years ago to help his sick father. Pacquiao paid the medical bills. He even took care of the family's debts.
We will never forget that he has helped people like us.
Vince's father died 6 years ago. Vince used to collect garbage on the streets. Pacquiao's unyielding spirit inspired him. The boy thought he could support his family by boxing. He has been able to make some money by winning matches.
I want to become a champion like Pacquiao. I want to help my family and other poor people.
Vince and other people all over the Philippines will be cheering for Pacquiao this weekend. They know how far he has come from his roots, and they'll keep drawing inspiration from his success. Charmaine Dayo-Gracias, NHK World, General Santos City, the Philippines.
It's 8 p.m. in Japan. Welcome to Newsroom Tokyo. I'm Shobeppu.
And I'm Aki Shibuya.
First, let's start with the headlines.
Philippine President Benigno Aquino is visiting Japan. He's stressing the close links between the two nations as tensions mount in the South China Sea. Police in Thailand arrest an army general they suspect of taking part in trafficking of migrants. Japanese airbag maker Takata takes more heat in Washington from lawmakers who want answers about potentially fatal defects. And later on The Focus, we'll meet some of the 40,000 Japanese who volunteer to improve lives around the world over the past 50 years. Philippine President Benigno Aquino is on a 4-day visit to Japan. He's the first guest from this country to be given full state honors in 13 years.
Japan's Emperor and Empress welcomed Aquino at the Imperial Palace in Tokyo. They had to move the welcome ceremony inside because of rain. Crown Prince Naruhito and Prime Minister Shinzo Abe also attended. The emperor is reported to have said he's delighted with the president's visit. He said it will promote mutual understanding and friendship. Aquino expressed appreciation for Japan's support over the years. He later made a speech in the Diet. Aquino implicitly criticized reclamation work by China in the Spratly Islands. The Philippines claimed sovereignty over part of the archipelago in the South China Sea. Aquino didn't mention China by name.
The prosperity of maritime and coastal East and Southeast Asia, which relies greatly on the free movement of goods and peoples, is at risk of being disrupted by attempts to redraw the geographic limits and entitlements outside those clearly bestowed by the law of nations.
Aquino stressed the strong links between his country and Japan.
Ours is a partnership that can only grow stronger because it is based not on mere practicality, but on shared values and mutual respect amongst equals.
Aquino is scheduled to sit down with Abe on Thursday. He hopes to boost cooperation with Japan on maritime security.
Joining us in the studio is NHK Manila's bureau, Charmaine Dayo-Gracias. She's accompanying President Aquino's visit to Japan. Hello, Charmaine.
Hi.
Well, Aquino is the first state guest from the Philippines in 13 years here in Japan. Well, seeing at the situation in the Asian region now where China is expanding its maritime activities in the South China Sea with its proclamation activities in the waters of the Spratly Islands, how much do you think this issue is in the mind of the president, and what do you think he wants to achieve through his visit here?
Well, the Philippine government considers his visit very important, and the issue of the South China Sea is just as important because Japan is a nation that advocates freedom of navigation and the rule of law. Japan and the Philippines share the same position on this. Although the Philippines is a military ally of the U.S., it's extremely important for the Philippine leaders to make an appeal to the international community concerning the issue. I covered the president's speech earlier today in Tokyo. He didn't miss the opportunity to stress that it's important for Japan and the U.S. and EU to express their concerns on the issue. He said that it will make China more aware that it's important to follow international law. The fact that he made the speech here in Tokyo could be seen as reflecting his view in this regard.
Well, Charmaine, what do you think the Philippines government is expecting specifically from the Japanese? government?
Well, the Philippines apparently wants to strengthen ties with Japan in the field of maritime security. Aquino and Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe will meet tomorrow. And Abe is expected to pledge that Japan will provide patrol boats to the Philippines. Philippine leaders apparently believe cooperating more closely with Japan and the U.S. will send a warning to China in the context of the international community, including ASEAN. It's often said that ASEAN is not united and hasn't taken a stand strong enough on the South China Sea issue. Abe and Aquino will have a summit tomorrow, and we'll see what kind of language they will use regarding this issue in their joint statement.
Charmaine, thank you.
Thank you.
South Korean health authorities are stepping up measures to contain an